The paper flapped. I knew right then, this wasn't about the pool anymore. Red ink, block letters, her rules. Karen jammed it onto his gate like it was hers. Pool access is a privilege, Logan. She was shaking. He wasn't. The cop behind her didn't budge, didn't blink, just watched. Logan stared at the post. Not her, not the yelling, just the thumbprint she left on his fence. Remote in hand. Light caught the metal. His grip tightened. Only once. No words, no shift, no sign. But his jaw locked, and the system was already recording. He didn't keep the land for profit. He kept it because someone had to. Miles Carter was 34, built quiet, stayed that way. The pool wasn't his idea. It was his father's, dug by hand. Cement mixed under Texas heat. No contractors, no blueprints, just blood, sweat, and one promise. Don't ever let anyone put their name on what we built. He never forgot that. The gate still had the old latch, rusty, curved like a question mark. A scratch ran across the bottom rail. Most people missed it. Miles didn't. That scratch came from the day his dad welded the lock in. 1991. He was 6. He'd held the flashlight. And now, taped right across that memory. Pool Rules by Karen, red ink. Fake authority, dead center. She didn't just tape a paper. She taped over bloodline. He didn't flinch, didn't raise his voice, didn't look at her. He looked at the scratch, then at the camera mounted to the awning. Then he clicked the remote. No drama, just a sound. One tiny metal click, subtle but final. The gate locked, not to trap her, just to mark it. This moment, this second, as the one where things changed. The cop glanced. Briefly, Miles never moved. People think silence means surrender. That's only true when the other person isn't holding the system. Karen didn't know, but she'd just picked a fight with the guy who used to write pool safety regulations for a living. He knew the laws. He wrote the laws. And now, he was done being polite about them. She didn't raise her voice. Didn't need to. The paper was already halfway across his gate. Red ink, crooked tape, her handwriting loud enough. Pool Rules, it said. Not signed by any board, not approved, but bold, confident, lined like a school notice. She pressed it down like she'd done it a dozen times before. No pause, no glance for permission, just one hand smoothing the corner, the other pointing toward a spot on the fence, as if reciting code. Quiet hours are from 7 p.m., she said. Guests must be cleared 48 hours in advance. Respect my privacy. That line was underlined twice, in red. Behind her, the officer stayed still. Didn't say a word, but the body cam light was on. Miles didn't lift his head, just rolled the remote once in his palm. Thumb hovered, didn't press. He was watching something else. 2 neighbors across the street, frozen mid-chat. Another leaned out from a window. Someone's curtain twitched. Karen didn't see it, didn't care to. She stepped back, like she'd completed a task. Her hand brushed the edge of an old metal plaque, weathered, dull, forgotten. HOAZONETHREE RESIDENTACCESSONLY. She didn't notice it, but the camera did. So did Miles. His grip shifted, just a fraction. Not enough to count as movement, but the rhythm changed. She kept speaking, terms, rules, conditions. Miles never looked at her, not once. But something in the air changed, and anyone paying attention would have felt it. She thought she was stating facts, but she'd just overwritten the wrong sign. Maybe you've seen someone like that before, the kind who talks like the rules are theirs to bend. I used to think staying calm meant letting it go. Turns out, it just means waiting for the right time. If this hits somewhere familiar, you're not the only one. Stick around. Some stories don't shout, they unfold. Karen kept talking, timetables, access limits, pool rules, again. She paced like a supervisor, not a guest. Words steady, voice sharp, like the house was hers and Miles had forgotten his place. Neighbors nodded, not because they agreed, but because it was easier. Miles didn't answer, didn't look at her. He was watching the light shift across the yard. The sun had started to drop, and when it hit the metal just right, he moved, not a step forward, a step back, to the gate. He reached up, slow, deliberate, and wiped the stainless plate bolted just beneath the camera. Dust scattered. The cloth dragged once, paused, dragged again. The letters underneath reappeared like a bruise surfacing. HOAZONE3RESIDENTACCESSONLY. Karen didn't stop, didn't look, but a boy chasing a ball did. He read the words aloud. His mother looked up, and for the first time, someone else saw it too. Miles didn't explain, didn't even glance their way. He folded the cloth, tucked it in his back pocket, then clicked the remote in his hand. Once, the gate beeped, locked, a sound too small to interrupt the speech behind him. But the camera caught it, every word, every gesture, every face turned away. He didn't flinch, not even when she pointed to the pool again and said, "This whole thing is communal, you just don't know the law." He knew the law. He used to write the policy manuals they misquoted. But now, he just needed footage, not proof, just patience. Let her keep talking. The more she claimed, the more she gave away. And the gate? It only locked from the inside. Karen didn't slow down. If anything, she got louder, more confident. Demanded adjusted hours for certain families. Said no loud music after 6. Said she'd been managing the pool longer than some people have lived here. People watched, but no one nodded now. Miles didn't look at her, didn't look at anyone. He looked at the remote, pressed it, just once. The security camera above the gate pivoted, smooth, slow, until it stopped, pointed directly at her back. Karen didn't notice, but the boy with the soccer ball did. So did his mother. Then came the second click. Metal, cold, final. The new lock on the gate engaged. From his pocket, from a distance. The gate was closed. Now it was sealed. Karen kept talking, but her voice didn't land the same. The crowd wasn't angry anymore. They were quiet. On the porch across the street, an old woman put down her cup of coffee. Didn't sip, just stared. Miles finally moved, only his head. He turned, slightly, just enough for the officer to see his profile. She blinked. He didn't. Karen, still mid-rant, finally paused, caught the shift, noticed the stillness, heard the silence. And then, from the left, a neighbor's voice, not loud, just puzzled. "Wait, did anyone even let her in?" It cut like a wire, quick, barely there, but everyone heard it. Karen's mouth opened, but nothing came out. Miles lowered the remote, clipped it to his belt. No words, just stood. Behind him, the camera light blinked, recording everything. In that moment, Karen wasn't in control. She was inside a frame, one she didn't build, didn't own, didn't even see coming. And for the first time, she looked like she wanted out. But the lock had already spoken, and the system never blinks. Karen pointed, at the gate, at the cop, at Miles. "That's not legal. He can't just lock a shared facility. You need a permit to change HOA utilities." The officer said nothing, just turned, looked at Miles. He didn't step forward, didn't speak. He pulled a small USB from his pocket, held it out. The cop took it, plugged it into her tablet, watched 1 minute, 2, then quietly. Without raising her voice, she looked at Karen. "Ma'am," she said, "this structure was approved in 1984. You're standing in a private residential zone." Everything stopped. Karen's face didn't react at first. Then her eyes darted to the camera, to the neighbors, to the screen in Miles's hand, now glowing. A tap. That's all it took. Miles turned the screen toward the crowd. Footage played. Karen waving her arms, sticking her handwritten "pool rules" over the worn metal plaque. Right across the words, "Permit number 4, 08C, issued 1984. The wind caught the edge of the paper in real time, lifted it just enough. The camera caught it, clear, close, time-stamped. "You trespassed," someone whispered behind her. Karen reached for her phone. "Let me show the HOA chat. I'll prove—" "No need," the cop interrupted. "Your messages are in the footage too." One man in a sun hat stepped back. Another neighbor crossed her arms. A woman pulled her kid a little closer. The group wasn't loud, they just shifted. Karen looked around. No allies, only eyes. Then, the final pin. Her pool rules sheet peeled off in the wind, fluttered down, landed in a puddle left from last week's party. Red ink bled into the water. The paper folded, bent, tore. Nobody picked it up. Miles didn't smile, didn't gloat. He just watched her realize this wasn't about shouting louder. It was about whose record held up, and hers just got erased. On camera. In silence. Karen didn't speak. Her phone was still in her hand, but her fingers had gone still. No more scrolling, no more screenshots. Just stillness. No one said a word. A man with a dog stepped back onto his lawn. The woman from Unit 6 turned toward her kid. Even the cop looked down, just for a second, then stepped aside. Karen stood there, alone, but no one pushed her. She walked off the property on her own. Miles didn't follow, didn't even watch her go. He lifted the remote, pressed once. The iron gate moved, slow, smooth, no creak, no jolt. Just that heavy final sound. Click. Locked. The camera tilted softly back to its original angle. A quiet sentry, watching, ready. In his hand, the keychain swayed. Brown leather, worn edges, stitched by hand. As he turned, the light caught the backside of the tag. Faded words pressed into the leather. Build quietly, lock wisely. He walked inside, didn't look back. The puddle still held the paper, red ink bleeding into dirty water. The last trace of rules that never belonged. From a second-story window, someone watched. They didn't speak, but their blinds, once shut, opened a little wider. Miles didn't notice. Or maybe he did. But either way, he didn't wave, he didn't smile. He closed the door, one turn of the lock, firm clean. Behind that, not victory, not relief, just silence, and finally, no one else's voice on his land. The lock never made a sound after that, but everyone remembered it. Not the gate, the click. It's strange how something so small can shift everything. Not anger, not a fight, just decision. Some people win loud, others win when the room goes quiet. There was an old shovel by Miles's shed. Wooden handle, metal edge dulled by time. His father once used it. Said nothing lasts if it's built too fast. That shovel was still there, still upright in the soil, still waiting for spring. And sometimes that's all it takes. Wait, watch, protect. Not with noise, but with memory. With quiet systems already in place. Miles didn't prove anything. He just refused to forget what was worth keeping, even when others tried to rewrite it. Justice doesn't always roar. Sometimes it arrives in soft shoes, with clean paper, a remote, a name you don't have to raise your voice to say. Because in the end, some things are not defended with fences, but with time and clarity.